Stupid people should wear signs, neon bright, so we can find a way to dodge their tangled mess, avoid their chaos more, say less. Wear a sign, wear a sign. Save me from your twisted line. Wear a sign, wear a sign. Nada, nada, don't waste your time. Politicians dance and spin, blatant lies with a practiced grin. Blame the moon, blame the stars, blame the traffic or faulty cars. You think they're 6, not 35, playing games to stay alive. Wear a sign, wear a sign. Save me from your twisted line. Wear a sign, wear a sign. Nada, nada, don't waste your time. Celebrities with tails so tall, lost my yacht, it's so small. It's hard being rich, don't you see? You're living in your fantasy. They come to our shores with a suitcase dream, chasing the glow of that golden beam. From far off lands where shadows lie, here they find a brighter sky. Every step, every mile, they're reaching for the American style. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. Factories hum with a steady grace, ideas born in this boundless space. A light bulb flash, a towering steel in every corner. The promise feels real. From the ground to the stars, we're built on dreams, we're raising bars. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. Oh, 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 oh,
Hey folks, welcome back. Sunday night, 2nd of November. It's Monday already around the world. Yep, good to see you all once again here. So a little bit of news tonight. I'm going to spend some time talking about the first story on a video I just published, which Ronaldo brought to my attention yesterday, and I've taken notice of. And it's a comical situation, to say the very least. The Ferrayas have exposed themselves. Total frauds. The academics can't even be bothered to write things. They can't even be bothered to write things on their own. Yeah, pretty sad. They need someone else to write a story, write a lie for them. Pretty sad, pretty pathetic, but that's who they are, the Ferrayas. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I just had to post all that stuff in groups out there. So welcome back to the program. Good to see everybody tonight. Welcome. So a couple things I want to cover here very quickly. We're already at 100 already. And now, this isn't the time I'll normally be doing this for the next 6 months. Normally, it'll be a half hour sooner, which would be the normal time in South Africa. That would be about 5 o'clock in the morning. But tonight, I was a little bit busy, tied up, and could not get to this, in part editing that video, which I recorded earlier today, and was busy doing veterans things most of the day. So really couldn't get around to it, and only got around to it tonight. And I edited that video tonight. So that video just got published on my channel. As you can see, I didn't get a haircut. I really need a haircut and a beard trim, but that didn't happen on Friday. There were too many people. I had to rush down and get the judged material. And tomorrow I got to set up the polling station in the evening. And Tuesday I'll be tied up from 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, all the way until 11:30 at night. We will do a night owls after my election, though. Well, after the election. I'm actually on the ballot, folks. Someone went out and got the signatures to get my name on the ballot to get reelected as a judge of elections. So, yeah, there you go. Anyway, so I didn't get myself back on the ballot. This would have been the end of my term, and I would have been happy ending up my term. I've discovered that doing good deeds for people just screws you over, and there's really little value in doing it. I fought the good fight for decades of my life, and helped everybody I possibly can, whatever way I can, and I've kept many people alive, consequence of my actions. But frankly, it wears thin at some point. So, and there's no reward for being the good guy. Angelique, not that I'm looking for a reward, but at least no punishment. But there's lots of abuse for being the good guy. That's the thing that sucks. So Angelique's here. Yaku, Diane, Denise Bellingham, Pat Family, Joubert, Sean Valgemont, Christopher Mayer, Delmarie Mostart, Kratos is back, and then we got Karen Long says, nothing like a claw in the thigh to wake one. Oh, you got that cat again, huh? Your cats, I start smacking them. If my cat, I don't have a cat anymore, if my cat clawed me in the morning, I'd smack it right in the head and get the message pretty quickly. Yeah, 5:30 there, but that's normally 5 o'clock I start, but that's because of events, so this is just a one-off tonight. So welcome back. Malcolm Pelote, how's the boat? What's going on? Dogzilla's in from Seattle. Dirk could see us back again. Hey, Dirk, how's it going? Dirk has been very kind, trying to raise money for Charles Van Onselen's surgery. Really got it up there quite a ways. There's a good podcast in America about all the refugee things by a show called This American Life. Never heard of it, Dogzilla. Never heard of it. If you prefer to focus on refugee subjects instead of... Oh, so, okay. All right. Just, you know. Oh, my goodness. Where's it at? You know, that's just, you get a timeout. I'm not even going to bother taking stuff off. Okay, use a timeout. You got a 5-minute timeout last time, Dogzilla. This time you get a 10-minute timeout. You want to come in here and tip, but you'll watch other things. Screw you. Screw you. You're being an ass, you know. You're telling people, being a smart ass about my channel. You don't like the fucking politics? Then take a hike. You don't want to hear the political conversation? Then take a hike. Why are you here? Release your member. Stop being a moron. Stop being an ass. Jeez. 10-minute timeout. Behave yourself. You're welcome back. You know, you're welcome to talk about other channels. I have no problem with that. But sitting here being a smart ass, you passive-aggressive little pissy little baby, like a little girl, knock it off. All right, so back to the conversation. All right. Yes, usual suspects are here. Yep. CB Maddie van Rooyen, welcome to you. Nicola in from Balito, what's up? Mad Max is here. Good to see you, Mad Max. Ronaldo, excuse me. TJ Fandemava, Jacques B. Afrikaner. Sandra Yonk. Bernadette Conaway, welcome to you. Platinum Bear, ZA, good morning. Makis. Well, let's hope we all have a good week. But it's going to be a busy week for me. I won't get quiet until Thursday. And I didn't get crabs today, in case anybody's wondering. I was just that busy today. Community Medic, welcome to you. Dodgy company, but free quote, cheaper than others. Ouch. That sounds bad. Most people who receive the generosity of others rarely pay it forward, in my experience. Well, Dirk, I'm definitely one of those people that does pay the generosity forward. But you're right. That's been my experience, too. You do good deeds for people and raise money, and they just piss all over your leg and walk away. Gemini sits on my tummy. Well, it's funny you say Gemini, Mace, because that's what I used to create the image for that video. It's Gemini. Sana Clotier, welcome to you. Amanda Kupertus, Odin's Viking 787, and Truth Seeker, Jackie Kane. I keep thinking it says Jackie Chan. Hannes Holzhausen, what's up, man? Jan Els, and Multipass. It's Leilu Dallas. All right, folks, now that we had to give somebody a timeout early on, shame. All right, well. Anyway, speaking of other channels, since Dogzilla opened that door, let me just go ahead and talk about this. Apparently, the Amerikaners are now branching out. They are taking money to process people, and there's nothing wrong with that, but now they're creating a YouTube channel, which are going to do interviews. I wonder if that runs afoul of their contract. I don't know. But I find it interesting that... So for those of you who think that I have a special in with the Amerikaners, or I promote the Amerikaners, I do something for you, I'll tell you what, obviously not the case. Obviously not the case. They're now trying to cut me off of the pass and do interviews with people who would come over here and refugees. So you know what? I suspect I won't be doing any more refugee interviews because Amerikaners have the inside link because they talk to people. They have their personal information. I don't. So I'm just at the whim of people who wish to share for others. So we may be done with refugee interviews because apparently Amerikaners going to do that now. I know nothing about it. They've not contacted me. They've not said anything to me about it. So I guess that's where you go to watch your refugee interviews in the future is over there. All right? So there you go. There you go. No good deed goes undone. And the Amerikaners, when they had no credibility whatsoever, they had zero credibility. They had zero credibility whatsoever. And nobody was trusting them. People were quite said, what is this? Who are they? What is this all about? I told people to calm down. I said, get in touch with them. They seemed to be credible, and I lent my credibility to them, and now they're just doing stuff. They're just doing stuff. So whatever, that's on them. They didn't contact with me. So again, I just put that out right now. So people, I know nothing about their refugee interview thing. I have nothing to do with it. They didn't talk to me. They didn't say anything to me. They're just doing their own thing, and that's their prerogative. I'm not challenging it. That's their prerogative. But I have been forthright, whether it's been Reuters or it's been the New York Times or it's been the Associated Press or it's been the Daily Maverick. Well, yeah, the Daily Maverick can contact me too. Or it's been Amerikaners, or it's been Pet Lift. It's been any of these organizations. I've given them all. The only one who hasn't got a free chance here is Nicole Feldman, who's asked me to give her a chance. But I've given all these other people a chance, and you see what happens. So, whatever. Yep. No good deed goes unpunished. No good deed goes unpunished, folks. Yep. It's interesting. I don't think it's interesting at all. I don't think it's interesting at all. They could at least had the courtesy to tell me they're doing. No, I haven't checked my PayPal. Well, thank you, Sigi. I appreciate that. Rhino Girl says, not in my name, idiots. Also started a petition. Not sure if you've seen it. No, I haven't seen that petition. I think it was done by Bianca von Wyk, I was told. I don't know. Bianca, did you do it? I don't know. I was told that you did it. I don't want to speak out of turn for Bianca von Wyk. I don't know her from Adam, other than she's rude and disrespectful and has no manners. But no, I that's what was said on my chat. I don't know who's responsible for that. But I heard it was on a platform that you don't verify emails. So take that for what you think it's worth. Sounds to me like people are just... Kara Nell Hutzenberg. Oh, Kara. Like, who the hell is that? Okay, now I know. Well, thank you for missing me, Kara. I miss that area. I miss being out there. It was lovely. I mean, I have no plans to move to Idaho, but I mean, I could see myself living around that area. It's not too bad. It's a little desolate, but not too bad. Yep. Anyway. Your cats were chasing each other. Cats are, you don't own cats. Cats own you, in case you don't know that, folks. Utopia, don't worry about it. People have always treated me like that, and I just still help others. That's just the nature of it. It's like the priest, and people crap on the priest, and the priest still, takes care of people. I wonder how many T-shirts Nancy's handing out for people to sign the petition. Interview on Buzz News. What is Buzz News? Do you mean Biz News with Colin Bell? Interesting. Oh, don't know that. Okay. She's in the UAE. Zion is in the UAE. I didn't know that. I did see that, but I sent you emails in my case, so I would not. No, Dennis. No. That's fine. I got that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Screw other people. I know that. If I ever get to the U.S., I can do an interview. Thank you, guys. Okay. Let the haters hate. It's a bad look. I'm not trying to throw shade on Amerikaners. The purpose of mentioning that was not to start a crap storm. My purpose of mentioning that was to say that I have nothing to do with that. Nothing. They didn't talk to me. They didn't say anything to me. They just are. I've heard, and then I saw someone put it in one of my groups. They put a link to Amerikaners are doing interviews. So I'm just saying I have nothing to do with that. Nothing. I wasn't informed. I wasn't consulted. I wasn't asked. And why would I be? It's their channel. It's their channel. I'm just a bit surprised that a service provider for the State Department has a YouTube channel in which they're going to interview people that come over to America through a program they run. That'd be like Church World Services now starting a YouTube channel, running around and talking to refugees who come to America. It seems a little odd, but I have nothing to do with it. Don't conflate me. I have nothing to do with that. What do they hope to achieve? Well, they hope to prove that they're real, but they're not real. And where's the other petition at now? I haven't looked at that recently. Not in our name. So in our name, that one's that's slowed down. If you haven't signed that petition, you should. It's only 6,777. That'd be very embarrassing if they actually get a bunch of fake signatures and make it look like they got more for the other one. You're not allowed to charge anything for refugee program. What are you talking about? Who's charging for refugee program? No. Amerikaners doesn't charge anybody. No, do not infer. I never claimed that. Never stated that. Never claimed it. They get paid by the State Department. They get paid by the State Department for providing service, just like RSC does. RCS. Whatever, the RCS, yeah. They're service providers. They're under contract. Well, Sumer, I wasn't sure what you meant by the food thing, because I have done the food thing. We've got Carl van Blurk from Food Socks on, and sorry, I was just sending Carl a message. When are you going to release a Billboard topping song? I don't know. I thought my Save South Africa is pretty good. But Alabama Heat's pretty good too, yeah. Phrase run with the rabbits and hunt with the hounds comes to mind. Did you guys, Carlos, did you see all the parts I had to bleep out? There's a part I said where you need to stop licking your bloop. It got bleeped out. I had to go back because I unloaded in that video, and I really had to go back and cover up a few things I said, take the sound out with a little test pattern. A couple other times I took the sound out but left the visuals up so you can imagine what was said. Yeah, anyway. So, haven't trusted since the beginning and not like to trust. Okay. Givers are people who prioritize helping others while takers focus on their own self-interest. Well, let's expat family Joubert. Today, instead of taking care of myself and taking care of my business, my broadcast business, which is part of what I do, and also writing my summary report for my consulting last week, which still needs to be done, and filing for my claim to get paid for last week, which I haven't done since Thursday. They finally sent me this spreadsheet. Instead of doing that, I have been helping veterans most of the day. So, and now I'm here. Biz news. Oh, biz news. I thought you said buzz news. I haven't seen biz news in a while. Yeah. And they haven't asked me to be a guest. I haven't been a guest on John B. Wells for a long time either. Kind of weird. You thought the video was freezing? No. That's just my humor. Yeah. Yes, you did, Dogzilla. You got tuned. How do you know that you didn't get timed out? I said so right there. I said because you're throwing shade on my channel. If you don't like the politics, then just leave. If you don't like it. If you're welcome to tell people about other channels. You're welcome to tell people about other channels. That's fine. But pissing in my chat and basically pissing down my leg, that's just rude. And that's what you did. Don't play innocent. Well, I didn't do that. You did it. You did it. You did it. You know you did it. So stop it. Stop being a child. You found a house for $68,000. What is it? A cardboard box in the rain? Who has a house for $68,000? My goodness. In Appalachia? Did you get that in West Virginia, man? Don't know if it would be illegal what the Amerikaners want to do, Colonel. You will get your interviews there when a bandwagon got there. Well, here's the funny thing, man. I'll bet you that if they do interviews, then it'll appear, they will be mentioned, they'll be talked, they'll be asked by Daily Maverick and News 24. They'll ask them, but they won't ask me. Yeah. None of those news organizations have ever contacted me to speak to me about any issue in South Africa. Not one. They have asked for me to give them contact with refugees, but they've never asked for any of my time. That's just hilarious. Political scientist, historian, published author, university lecturer, military officer, counterintelligence expert. They never ask me anything. No, that's because they don't want to be embarrassed. And I lay odds that I don't come across looking good on the CNN interview, or they cut me out entirely because I didn't say what they wanted me to say. And when it comes to the interview for CakeNet, I hold my reservation on that too. See how I come out looking on that. But I think I'll come out better than CNN. Hey, back to the future. What's up, man? Mad Max stopped watching a lot. I saw some bad comments about our colonel on the other channels. Well, there's lots of idiots out there, lots of self-pleasuring morons who have no respect for other people. There's no reason to say anything bad about me. I mean, unless you're a public figure that I've maligned because your bad deeds, but there's no reason. I mean, these people that say something bad about me are people that are just hateful, nasty shrews. I mean, I've helped feed people. I've helped house people. I've helped people get out of South Africa. I've helped people not be murdered in Africa. I've defended freedom for people around the world. The list goes on and on and on. 640,000 black Africans are alive today because actions I personally took. I alone took those actions and got my government to do something. And these people they're just sad, pathetic people. Yeah, the problem is that there's a lot of pussies out there that don't like the truth. Do you know why? Because they can't handle the truth. That's the bottom line. They can't handle the truth. Well, it's not just these networks and the politicians. It's also a lot of these people who watch these YouTube channels. They can't handle the truth. They don't like it. I mean, I got one guy in here. His feelings got hurt. And he's like, "You keep bad things about America." Saying bad things about Afrikaners. Pay attention, dingbat. And I never called that guy a name either. But boy, he just unloaded on me. So rude and disrespectful. Women? No, it wasn't mostly women. Mostly men. Five-minute timeout. 5-minute timeout, Dogzilla. 5-minute timeout, Dogzilla. Yep. And while you're in a timeout, you can relax and listen to your theme song. You don't learn, do you? You don't learn, do you? You just don't learn. Dogzilla being rude and disrespectful.
Dogzilla monster, yeah, it's too much. Hey! Bet you think this jam is all you'll play. Splashing through the Colonel stream, throwing shade like it's a meme. No facts, just vibe. H what a scene. Warning, stacking, count it out. In, tweet, 3, time out. Colonel says with a sly little grin.
Aim, fade,
some
feet.
journos out there rocks don't tweet, brew, they just chill. They don't spin stories or send out the bill. Life's too short for moaning and grind. Share the lack of the truth, the grind. Chuck the ugly, leave it behind. Let the truth dance out. Let it shine. No time for drama, no space for spite. We groove truth, we jam it right. Living in a fairyland, shame man please. Keyboard warrior with no real steez. Typing daggers, throwing shade. But words don't scar, they just fade. So what's your handle, winner? Be cool, be a friendly troll, not a Peter fool. Listen up, facts are fire. Smart is sexy, no need to conspire. Colonel's truth, yo, it hits like a drum. Breaks the fake, makes the trolls go numb. Some peeps laugh, some just moan. Colonel, leave the rocks alone. Life's too short for moaning and grind. Share the lack of the truth, the prime. Chuck the ugly, leave it behind. Let the truth dance out. Let it shine. No time for drama, no space for spite. We groove with truth, we jam it right.
Ain't Fay Three. That's Dogzilla's theme song. Time out. I know he's loving it. That's why he's doing it. But we'll have fun with Dog tonight. Yeah, don't piss him off. You can tell me it's raining. People in general don't like to hear the truth. They rather run and face the truth. Yeah, but that's fine. You don't have to hear the truth. Just leave. But being disrespectful and rude, what's that all about? I mean, I grew up in an age when you respected your elders. And if you didn't, you got smacked up the head. You got PK, big time. Knocked unconscious, basically, if you didn't respect your elders. That's how I grew up. And, you know, if you didn't respect your elders, you respected law enforcement officials. You respected people in authority. You sure as hell respected colonels. But, man, today, these jackasses out there have no respect for anybody. They'll just say what they want. Hey, Varoshka, have a good day at work. Tian, what's going on, man? And he's not interesting, Stefan. He's not interesting at all. He just constantly comes in the chat and diverts on these. Oh, look, I'm helping refugees go to Italy. Oh, the refugees are doing so well. They're traveling all over the world. That's not what we're talking about. Then he comes in here. He brings up all the refugee stuff. And then he tells people, well, if you don't like politics on this channel, you can go over to this other channel. Go to the other channel. What do I care? What do I care? Social media sucks. It's the first place I interact. Mostly people don't like the people. You're right. You're helping animals. Hey, Simri. My old man would knock me about when I disrespect mom. Exactly. What do we do without Dogzilla? Well, we've done a lot without Christian Paradago. Channel's been a much nicer place. Yeah. But Dogzilla has been generous, particularly like in Charles Van Onselin's backup buddy. He's helped with that. Yep. Yeah, I'm sure he's a Trojan. There's a lot of them out there. Peter Talliard, welcome to you. Sedgefield. Probably not even a dude, you know. Probably not even a dude. Anyway, enough talking about that. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on. I want to talk. Where did everybody go? I play the music, man. As soon as I play music, things drop off. 174 down to... We lost 25 people. Good Lord. Take a joke, folks. My goodness. Okay, so things are rocking the Democratic Alliance, resignations, and charges of racism, racial bias. Oh, gosh. It's South Africa. Why would we expect anything else? This one's from Sian Tanda Kappa. Two former DA counselors, Marshall Kleinhans and Brendan Adams, have left the party to join the Patriotic Alliance, citing marginalization within the party. So, let me translate that in English. I didn't get the job I wanted, so I'm leaving and calling you racist. That's pretty much how it works. You don't like brown people. Oh, I'm leaving. Yep. The resignations was triggered a by-election in George. Leave the DA-ACDP coalition short of majority, reducing their control to 27 of 55 council seats. Now, say, how can that be allowed? How can a person be allowed to leave a political party and join another and steal an election from the voters? Yep. Since the resignations of these two, the DA has lost its coalition. And then the majority. The resignation, subsequent floor crossing, leave the DA with 26 seats out of 55. If you leave the party, then you should lose your seat. How can they be allowed to floor cross? They should be out of they were put there. But see, this is what, we have a democracy. You don't have a democracy in South. This is a joke. Floor crossing, no. Voters didn't pick those people. The party did. So if they don't want to serve that party, they're out. They resign and leave. And then the party appoints someone else. What is this floor crossing nonsense? Utter nonsense. One of the few places in South Africa that actually works. George. One of the few places. Kleinheit says resignation came because of a failed plot emanating from one of the color caucus to Alice Mayor Jackie van Brandes. Oh my goodness. Adam is another former member of the mayoral committee. He said he jumped ship because he was fed up with DA's continued ignorance of issues affecting the Khoi people in the region. Oh dear God. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And the PA is going to focus on the Khoi? No. No. Oh my goodness. Yeah, anyway. If I were paid, I would have gone and bought myself a Peugeot Baki because I love those Bakis. If you're a black person, the moment you've got money, you want to buy a Baki or something else. So you would see that I've got money. I wasn't paid. What? Oh, they're not being paid to come to the Patriotic Alliance. Seriously? Wow. That's a wild stereotype there he's saying about black folks. Police have finally restarted the investigation into the murder of the two auditors. Murray and his son were murdered. More than 2.5 years after Cloete and Thomas Murray were killed, the police investigation is being started from scratch. Case being taken over by a team of detectives under the command of Gauteng top cop Major General Mbusu Kumalo. Why are they starting from scratch? Why does it take 2 years to solve this murder? Wow. 2 years later. 2.5 years later. Unbelievable. Murdered. Those guys are just murdered in broad daylight. Horrible stuff, folks. Horrible stuff. Rob funded the flushing toilets in Beaufort West for Gaten's kite to fly. Beneficiaries can't afford water. Never mind toilet rolls in areas short of water. Yep. Exactly. It never made sense to me. You can't walk away with my vote. Yeah, but they do it. I mean, there was the floor crossing is no longer allowed in Parliament. The ANC brought that in. Minor parties like the DA wanted it, and then they promptly lost all their members of Parliament when they were given bribes to go join and become deputy minister positions. Yeah, so they left, and that thing ended. So I don't know how they do that at the municipal level. That's just wrong. That's not a democracy. That's a theft of democracy. You're not being represented. You voted for a party, and the party picked people, and the people left that party and joined another party. That's theft of democracy. Every day we hear stupid op-eds in South African media talking about how democracy is under threat. It's under threat by the very system you've created, which enriches and ensures the survival of political parties, not of citizens. Yep. Well, yeah, you should lose your seat. Political elections, campaign, the bout of attacks, intimidation starts all over. Yeah, exactly. Donald Trump says China knows the consequences if it were to invade Taiwan. Ooh, the strongest words yet. Sleepy Joe Biden actually had some strong words on Taiwan, but Trump steps it up. U.S. President said Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping never brought it up because he understands, and he understands it very well. President Trump said Chinese leader Xi Jinping understands what will happen. He was on 60 Minutes tonight. I missed the interview. Apparently it was pretty interesting. There were reports that Beijing was pressing Washington to change its stance on Taiwan ahead of the U.S.-China trade talks. Well, that's not going to happen. Not going to happen. The U.S. is not going to abandon Taiwan. Jimmy Carter already betrayed them. Jimmy Carter, the Ferraya. He's dead now. Jimmy Carter lived to be 100 years old, and he was a Ferraya all the way through. To the American people and to the Taiwanese. Yep. And Panama, for that matter. Taiwan is putting American-made Abrams tanks into service. Ooh, that's a big step up. Taiwan has formally inducted its first U.S.-made M1A2 Tango Abrams main battle tanks into service, with President Lai Chang-te hailing the deployment as a major milestone in the island's military modernization, a symbol of its determination to defend its sovereignty against growing pressure from China. At a ceremony at a base in Hinshu, the Taiwanese president handed new Abrams tanks over the 584th Armored Brigade, the first unit to replace its older tanks with U.S.-made models. Man, they bought 108 of the M1 Alpha 2 Tango model tanks. Wow. That's impressive. That's impressive. Well, Taiwan, backed by Washington still, despite everything. Well, the Trump administration says that it has no plans to invade Venezuela, but that doesn't mean it won't have land-based strikes. Oh, my goodness. Addressing the prospect of a war with Venezuela in his interview with 60 Minutes, President Trump said, "I doubt it, I don't think so," but he refused to rule out land strikes when pressed. He added that he believed President Nicolas Maduro's days were numbered. He previously confirmed that he had authorized CIA to conduct covert action in Venezuela. Oh, my goodness. It's getting hot. It's getting hot up in here. Hello, Beverly Odendell. How's it going? Holden Caulfield's here. What did MacArthur say? MacArthur was an insolent bastard. What did he say? He took credit. He abandoned his men at Corregidor. Abandoned his men at Corregidor. It was a pompous ass. And hired a German to be his intelligence officer who was a moron. And as a consequence, left his men to die at the Chosin Reservoir in his exuberance to get to the Yalu River. Yeah, MacArthur, no. Not someone I would emulate. Nope. Oh, they have F-35s, yeah. Yeah, but that's air-based. I'm talking about land-based. So, are tanks still relevant? Yes, tanks are still relevant. And they are still relevant, Conrad. It's a good question, though. It's a fair question. But the problem is that the reason that they're being taken out by drones is because the Ukrainians and Russians aren't very bright anti-drone combat. There are very effective ways to take drones out and to prevent them from doing what they're doing, but they're just not very clever. You see, a drone has to be controlled. And how do you stop it? Well, you just stop its instructions from getting there. Pretty simple. Yep. The Patriotic Alliance is more like a church group, full gospel and chasing white doves. Yeah, I said, sure, that makes sense. You should never ask why this is South Africa. You should know. You should know why. At least I have tanks and a proper military. In New Zealand, we have helicopters. Yeah. Hey, Stefan, how's it going in New Zealand? Yeah, New Zealand has a military, but those 152 band members, they occasionally deploy to places like New Caledonia. SNAP benefits are in jeopardy, ladies and gentlemen. Food stamps not being delivered. I did get paid by the way, for those who weren't here over the weekend, I did get paid on Friday. I was knocked me over with a feather. Thank goodness. And the good news for me is I already paid most of my bills, and so now I have enough money to make sure I can pay my bills next month if I don't get paid. But I was a bit surprised to get paid. It was nice surprise because I've lost several $1,000s in consulting money because they didn't approve the budget Friday. Then my exercise was canceled in November. That was 2 weeks. And the plan was if they weren't going to have the exercise, I would come to South Africa. But I can't come to South Africa because it's too late to make the trip now. I've got Thanksgiving coming up and other events going on. And so too late to book a trip now, this short notice. And because we didn't get to 100,000 on the Truth Report, then the offer to pay for half my ticket went out the window. But we tried. We were almost 4,000 short, and we got to within 300. We added over 3,500 subscribers during that time frame, but we didn't quite make it in those 10 days. So it's about 350 per day. 9-dash line. The 9-dash line. I don't know what the 7-dash line is. Del Marie, drones in all sizes became a big thing. Yeah, they are. You have to go to work. Okay, so you have a good day. All right. So SNAP benefits are frozen. People are not getting their food stamps. Hey, so why is the U.S. economy not falling off a cliff? Trump has imposed all these tariffs, 50% on this, 100% on that, 30% on that, 10% on this country, 20% on that country, 15% on that country. What's going on? Why is our economy not collapsed? We were told that tariffs would drive the price up, but inflation is flat. There's virtually no inflation. One reason is the price of energy has dropped, so that's for sure. We've gone from $90 a barrel, $78 a barrel, down to $50-some a barrel. That's one reason, but that doesn't explain all of it. So why has the U.S. economy not fallen off a cliff? Well, the Wall Street Journal has a story. As I said, inflation is lower than expected after Trump steep levies. When President Trump announced sweeping tariffs in April, economists predicted surging inflation and raised the odds of a recession. They were wrong, and I said they were wrong, and I still say they're wrong. Yes, companies and consumers stockpiled to get ahead of prices. These worries now seem overblown. Inflation, while too high, is lower than forecast, and the economy continues to grow despite the steepest tariffs in almost a century. I'm not sure they've mattered as much as people thought they would, as I told you. At the same time, the promised benefits of tariffs have largely haven't come to pass. Revenue from Trump's levies have been far lower than the Treasury Department. That's not true. That is not true. That's a lie. Wall Street Journal is just outright lying. Outright lying. They have taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue from the tariffs, more than they anticipated. What is this lie? Annual inflation was below 3%. And One reason the real tariffs companies pay are lower than the headline numbers suggest. This is underscored by the weaker than expected customs and excise taxes collected by... No, that's not true. U.S. Treasury is on track to collect $34 billion in October. It would be on track for $400 billion over a full year, which is more than we've ever taken in. But they're saying it's short. Also, again, the tariffs, while making a big splash, a lot of things are exempt from it. So, for instance, 85% of the goods and services that come from Canada aren't even covered by the tariffs that Canada is facing now at 45%, I think it is, 45, 47%. So 85% of the stuff they send here doesn't even get affected by it. Yet they dumped all of our booze out because they're just morons in Canada to do that. Yeah, and the other reason is because, as I said, the increase in tariffs doesn't automatically mean that the consumer pays more. The producer, the middleman, the retailer, oftentimes they'll absorb part or if not all of the increase if it's not too high. 30% increase, well, if everybody picks up, 10% along the way, the producer eats 10%, the middleman eats 10%, and the delivery man eats 10%, or the retailer, then it doesn't go up. But 30% is pretty steep. So sometimes they absorb some of it, sometimes they absorb some of it, and the consumer absorbs some of it, sometimes the consumer absorbs all of it. So it appears that it's mostly the first one, which is what I told people from the very beginning when this stuff started. But I bought my laptop last year on after November 5th, after the election. No, it's not an incentive to expand on drilling. Who said it was, Holden? I never said it was. But it drags down the prices of goods. Yeah, if we're not paying, $4 a gallon for diesel to transport stuff, and only paying $2.50 a gallon, that's a big difference. Thinking about it, we originally joined this channel for the news. The refugee stuff only started earlier this year, not the reason most of it here. Well, Utopi, but that's not accurate. I mean, most of the people have been showing up my streams because my channel was 75 to 125, maybe 150 on a good day for the news, especially Monday. That was it. That's all I ever showed up for live streams. And I quit making videos last year because I wasn't getting a bang on the buck. I was getting almost no views on them. Then when Nobbs and Kesey assaulted the colored folks on the flight coming over from Durban to Cape Town, I made a video and it went to 50,000 views, and I just knocked my socks off. That hadn't happened in ages. So I started making videos again, and it started picking up. Then Trump came in office, and it picked up. But in January, I picked up 15,000 subscribers. That was almost doubling my channel in 1 month. That's before Trump ever did the tariffs, and before he ever did the refugee program. That didn't come until February. And then the channel took off even more after that. But most of the people who have come to this channel have come because of the refugee program. A lot are staying for the news. But those who've been here for a long time came for the news. But, guys, I like having small audiences. But, there's got to be some payoff in this, too. It's nice to have an audience of... We were getting 1,300. Before I went to England, I was getting 1,500 every live stream. I went to England, I come back, and I don't have that anymore. So we're lucky we get 500 on a Monday. Anyway. Hey, great. Xavier, what's up? Okay. Charles Donaldson's here. Okay. Greetings to you. Once the U.S. manufacturing and mining kicks in, the economy... Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Well, folks, so if this were flipped around, you know what the Democrats would be saying. I guarantee you. They would be saying... Racist Republican voters can't bring themselves to vote for a woman. Can't bring themselves to vote for a woman. And then they'd say they're racist because they can't vote for a black woman. Misogynist because they can't go vote for a woman, and racist because they can't vote for a black woman. Thank you, Courtney. Hey, I was wondering where Courtney's at. I haven't seen Courtney in a while. $1.99. Thank you for that super chat. Clouds are gathering. But guys, check it out. There's no conversation about racist Democrat voters who can't bring themselves to vote for the black woman of Virginia. Notice that? Virginia governor race enters the home stretch. Not a single word about how Virginia Democrats are racist because they won't vote for Winsome Earl Sears. Notice that? Isn't that funny? The Republican is the black lady. Both gubernatorial candidates in Virginia made the case to turn out the vote during the last weekend before Election Day. For Republicans, it's taking what they see as the right path for the Commonwealth. For Democrats, about defying President Trump's agenda. So they want to elect someone in Virginia to defy Trump, not to lead Virginia. Oh, my goodness. There she is, Winsome Earl Sears, a Marine, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Unlike her predecessor, Governor Youngkin, put $20 million of his own money into the campaign to match his opponent's war chest. Earl Sears is running her race with half the money Spanberger has, so she's spending half as much money as the Democratic-funded Spanberger. After the 2022 elections, Earl Sears called Trump a liability. And he should step off the stage. So he hasn't endorsed her. Despite narrowing the gap, Virginia hasn't voted for a Republican for president since 2004. Yep. More than 300,000 civilian federal workers reside in Northern Virginia, and that's why Virginia votes against Republicans, because many of them are bureaucrats. And they like their guaranteed little frickin' government work. Yep. Same bureaucrats who betray the nation. Now, most of them are good people, but there's plenty of them that aren't. Yep. Will be 3 or more worse situation Democrats' behavior. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, there's a black woman running for governor of Virginia and not a single word about racism, because why, you know, like when 68 million people voted for Barry Obama in 2008, nobody said anything about white people are racist, but only 63 million people voted for that slime ball in his reelection after he steered America into chaos. They were all called racist because they didn't vote for him. But they forget that still 3/4 of the votes came from white people. But America's a racist society. My goodness. I haven't seen him. I don't pay attention to Bill Clinton. Is he still around? A reaction at least says, I want to ask you if I get approved for a FG program, will I be able to bring my PlayStation with me? Why can't you bring your PlayStation? I bring my laptop every time I come back. You can bring your PlayStation if you want to give up space in your weight, but I mean, you won't be able to put that in your bag. I wouldn't put it in my check bag. It'll get stolen. So where are you going to put it? You're going to put it in your carry-on? That's an idea. Yes, Mamdani will be the mayor. We have gone the way of London. We have another city has fallen to Islam. Yep, London, Leicester, Birmingham, Manchester. And these are all cities that fall into Islam. Yep. Places where Sharia law is practiced in the United Kingdom. Yep. Zoran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, and Curtis Lee would travel across the boroughs to close out the election, the final weekend before that scumbag becomes the mayor of America's city. Yep. Yeah, Trump said, if it's going to be between a bad Democrat and a communist, I'm going to pick the bad Democrat all the time. Yep, smart move. But, right. Well, yeah, well, Mamdani isn't exactly novel in that approach. We've all been saying that. I don't go to New York anymore because it's a crap hole, and it's also too expensive. And I don't care to walk out into Times Square and see bare-breasted and shaven vaginas on display. It's disgusting. Children walk through there. If I want to see that, that's why they make little clubs for that. You know, shouldn't see that in Times Square. It's disgusting. Take-A-Lot sells special bags for PlayStation 5. Okay. Do you? Okay. Pretty cool. Yeah. This is an Amazon Essential, I think I bought a few years back. It's getting a little tight now because I'm getting a little pudgy there. But yeah, I like this shirt too. I've got another one, a blue one. Shelly Pollock is here. Welcome to you. Dreamliner787. Dreamweaver. Okay. Thank you, Colonel. And yeah, I'll get me a carry-on. Yeah. Well, what I typically do is... oftentimes, I'll not have a carry-on, and I'll have a carry-on bag, and I'll put it in my suitcase, and I go over with a light suitcase, and I buy things when I'm over there and come back. So, how many of these poor people in New York State start rebelling? I wonder. Well, it's already happening. It's the same guy that told everyone months ago that Rand will hit 30 to 50 before the end of the year, and some idiots reacted to it. What idiot? Well, who are you talking about? Mamdani said that? Currently, it's Utah Mammoth jersey. Yeah, no, Courtney, they didn't have any jerseys. I went to the store. I went to the team store. They were doing construction there, and their selection was terrible. And their prices are off the chart. $65 for a T-shirt? Who do they think I am? Bill Gates? Larry Ellison? Man, I don't have that kind of money. Good Lord, that's insane. I still would have bought a jersey, but I didn't buy one. Speaking of which, I haven't watched the NHL tonight. I mean, my Golden Knights, I heard they lost the other day. I was listening to it. Let me see what happened here real quick. NHL scores. Let's see. Tampa Bay, Utah lost 4-2. Yeah, the Mammoth lost tonight. The Vegas Golden Knights did not play. So did they play yesterday's scores? Colorado lost to San Jose. Surprise there. And Blue Jackets beat St. Louis Blues. Minnesota beat Vancouver. And the Golden Knights didn't play. Let's go back to the 31st. That's when, yeah, they lost 4-2. Yeah, it's Colorado. It's the last time they played. So tomorrow is Monday. It's still not tomorrow for me. So, guys, you'll notice it'll be a lot longer before I get to the same day as you, because now I'll be starting my program at 10 o'clock, not 11 o'clock. So the Golden Knights are not playing on Monday. Are they playing Tuesday? They're not playing Tuesday. That's a long break, man. The last game was Thursday. They don't play Monday. They're not playing Monday, Tuesday. They play Wednesday. No, they play Tuesday, sorry. But that game is at 10 o'clock. So I'll catch the end of the game. There's 6 wins, 2 losses, and 3 overtime losses. So the Vegas Golden Knights, so basically there's 6 wins and 5 losses when you look at it that way. But they get points for an overtime loss. Vegas Golden Knights will play Tuesday night at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I will be able to catch the second period and then on, because I'll be back by 11:30 for the election. But then if I do my show, I won't be able to watch anything. There's a vote again tomorrow. Let's hope for the best. A vote on the budget. Don't hold your breath. Currently, okay, got that. Government is so vile and corrupt. Okay. Hey, Johan Fontunda. Yeah, Mondami will blame others for his failures. And people will buy it. They probably blame Republicans. The Republicans have no control in New York City. No control whatsoever. None whatsoever, folks. None whatsoever. Odin's Vikings off to work. See, that's the thing with this program. I do this thing, and a lot of people go to work early. But some people pop on before they head off to work. So, anyway, I missed that. I really did. I didn't catch the Trump on... I hope I'm still logged in. I am still logged in. Good. Okay, cool. Right. Home. I'll bookmark this thing. There you go. Why has it got 20 up there? X home. Okay, there we go. Barack Obama is trying to get for Mickey Sherrill in New Jersey. They are desperate, man. Messages in my... Oh, wow. People are sending me messages. Guys, sending me a message in Twitter is not a good idea. It's not the place to contact me. I never see the stuff on there. Never see the stuff on there. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah. Let me see what people said about this one. All right, cool. So somebody wrote, I wrote a post about a guy in a Navy uniform. His hands are in his pockets. He's morbidly obese. Not morbidly, he's obese. He's standing in a food line in uniform during work hours, presumably. And somebody started writing about the COSA. A governor was executed in Mexico. I didn't see that. My goodness. Vilma's leaving now. Why are people leaving? Executed in Mexico. Carlos Alberto Manzo Rodriguez was under police protection, was shot dead in front of dozens of people. A mayor of Mexico's western state of Michoacan was shot dead in a plaza in front of dozens of people gathered for the Day of the Dead festivities. Wow. The attack on the mayor was carried out by an unidentified man who shot him 7 times. No line of investigation being ruled out to clarify this cowardly act that took the life of the mayor. Wow, that's crazy. Well, Mexico is a place where a Mexican TikToker was shot to death earlier this year. on a live stream. 23-year-old Valeria Marquez, wow, known for videos about beauty and makeup, was brazenly shot to death during a TikTok live stream, an incident shock waves sent through a country. That's back in May. Wow. Killed in the beauty salon where she worked in the city of Zaporizhzhia by a man who entered and shot her. Seconds before the incident, she was seen on her TikTok live stream seated at a table clutching a stuffed toy. They're coming. Hey, Val. Heard a voice. Yes, Marquez replied just before muting the sound on the live stream. Moments later, she was shot to death. Wow. She had 200,000 followers across her Instagram and TikTok. Wow. Lots of makeup, but she wasn't bad looking. Lots of makeup. There she is. That's back in May. Wow, that stuff is crazy, man. The world is crazy, full of psychos and reprobates. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow, we just dropped 187. What happened there? 197. People disappeared. What's going on? It is a horrible way to die. What about the Japanese one? The Japanese TikToker who was shot dead on a live stream. So another process will advise when all is done, have a ticket in hand, then email first time. We can also check. Okay, Johan, thanks. CB, have an awesome day. Everybody's leaving, man. What's going on? This is earlier. An hour. So it's now 6:30 there. Okay. Yeah, Mexico is a narco state, especially the states up north. A lot of the talks with the ANC DA after the election were held over dinner at Billionaire's house in Johannesburg. The Ananda Club, okay. What issues Dems really have to justify their no vote? No, they're okay. So the argument they're making, Xavier, is that the law that they created, the law that the Democrats created, the one that has led to the expiration date for the Affordable Care Act, which they set. Remember, Nancy Pelosi told her caucus, just sign the bill, vote for it. Then you can read the bill. And they did. Like a bunch of morons. They voted for it, then they read it, if they did. Most of them didn't bother. They did what they're told to do because they're just little lapdogs in the Democratic Party. They have no independent voices. They did what they were told to do. She got it passed, and they put a sunset clause in there. Sunset clause was 30 November 2025, 15 years later, and here we are. So they're blaming Trump for keeping people from getting health care because that was a subsidy program. So I and millions of other Americans actually paid taxes, paid subsidies, so people who don't have health insurance can have health insurance. We subsidize their health insurance. So they were paying less for health insurance than we do. Well, than taxpayers do. So they paid less for health insurance than taxpayers do. And now that's expired, and so they can't afford the true price because, like the rest of the country is paying, they can't afford the true price. So the Democrats are blaming Trump. Trump had nothing to do with it. This is all Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They're the ones that passed this abomination. And I said so 15 years ago. And I said this will come back to haunt this country, and here it is haunting the country now. People are not getting food stamps because the Democrats screwed up 15 years ago intentionally under Barack Hussein Obama. And they sold the country a bill of goods. It did nothing for health care. It just made a scam out of the insurance market. Never did anything for health care. No new doctors, no new hospitals, no new treatments, no funding for medical students, nothing. All it did was set up a scam with medication and with insurance. That's what it did. And at the time, it took 20 million working Americans who had health insurance provided by their employer off of health insurance. Their employers couldn't afford the premiums because the insurance companies jacked up the rates. Why did they jack up the rates? Because the law said that you couldn't deny someone health insurance for pre-existing conditions. So basically everybody got to have health insurance. And that's what they did. And the people that couldn't afford it, who had a higher price because they were higher risk, well, we the taxpayer absorbed the cost of that. While they paid a small amount of it, we paid the rest of their policy. So people who were living with HIV, tuberculosis, emphysema, COPD, ALS, all these different things that they have, now they want to buy insurance. Well, that's not insurance. Insurance is to prevent bad things from happening to you and restore you. If you already have bad things happen to you, buying insurance is just a scam. And that's what they did. They let them buy it. So because all these people with these billions of dollars of cost came into the system, because they had no choice, they couldn't deny them, they pushed the rates up for everybody. And those who came in with higher conditions had hhigher rates, and we paid the subsidies, plus everybody paid higher premiums. Most people's health insurance went from being a couple $100s a month to being thousands of dollars. Some people are paying $800,000 a month for insurance or more for health insurance. That's absolutely ridiculous. for something you're not even using most of the time. It's just a scam. And the whole thing has been broken by the Democrats. There's no way to fix it now. There's no way to fix it now. The way they want to fix it, they want to make it all wards of the state, like NHI in South Africa. And that's just communism, and it doesn't work. Trust me, I have that. It's called military health care, and it's crap. Yep. Yuri Smith, would you mind explaining the filibuster? Sure, Yuri, thank you. I thought didn't you ask that question the other day? Yeah, the filibuster is the ability for a political party to take the floor of the Senate. It only takes place in the Senate. That's where it's known. They go to the floor in the Senate and they can just speak. They never give up the floor. There's no 3 or 5 minute limit to what a speaker can say, so they can talk as long as they want. So they just start talking. We just had a Democrat talk for 22 hours, 23 hours straight. It's insane. And what happens is that people leave and they can't have a vote. Then they have to reconvene. And then they start filibustering again. People leave. So no one sits there or waits 23 hours and then comes back in. The smart ones would go sleep in their office and have someone wake them up when it's time to go vote, but most of them just go home. So then you have cloture. And cloture means that you have to have 60 votes. So 60% of the senators must vote for a bill. Otherwise, it doesn't pass. So the Republicans have 53 votes, and they got 2 Democrats who voted with them. It's 55. So at worst case, this bill is going through a 55 to 45 vote, but that's not a passing vote under these stupid rules. But there's a reason for it. And getting rid of the cloture and the filibuster is what's called the nuclear option. So 50 plus 1. Yep. Well, all things being equal, the Democrats should come out worse because Republicans are so... Here's the thing. The Republicans are not very smart. They should be hammering this point home. The Democrats have just set a record for rejecting a bill. The Democrats, during 4 years of Obama's term... 4 years, I keep saying 4 years of Biden's term, the Democrats 13 times, and Republicans voted with them, 13 times because they're too stupid to pass a bill for a budget, 13 times they voted to continue spending at the current levels. Now, why would you say 13 times? He's only in office for 4 years, right? Well, that's an average 3 times a year they had to pass it. 3 months here, 4 months there, 4 months here. So 13 times without any questions. They didn't shut down the government. They said, okay, all right, nothing in the bill. We'll just continue spending. Here it is. Authorization, continue spending at current levels. 13 times. Now the Democrats have 13 times voted down the exact same legislation, the exact same bill that they used to keep Biden going, keep his government expenditures going. They refuse to do it for this administration because they're evil. And they admitted it. The House Democratic Minority Whip said so. The evil demon rat from Massachusetts said so when she was interviewed. It's the only leverage we have. It's the only way we can get what we want by refusing until the Republicans give in. So they don't care about the people. They don't care about the country. They're just evil people. Too many rhinos Republican Party to ram this home. No, that has nothing to do with the rhinos. There's only 53 Republicans. They need 60 votes. So every Republican's been voting for it. The rhinos don't matter. I like to research America, and I saw how clean North Carolina was, and it looks amazing, really beautiful. Well, thank you, Skulk. But North Carolina is very humid, unless you get up in the mountains, and it's very overpopulated in my mind now. Why they blackmail us, and they think the people... They don't care about the people, man. And they're not popular. The Democratic Party is as popular as syphilis right now. Yeah, why is Obama talking about food stamps? He increased food stamps. Well, Lynn, they can keep up as long as people don't start marching outside their offices with pitchforks. Okay. So do they vote then to use nuclear option? No, they've refused. The Republicans have refused to do it. And I understand why. Because then they'll bite them in the back next time the Democrats have the majority. Yep, I understand why. Will Democrats be able to force? No, well, President Trump can't use the nuclear option. The Senate, that's not an action for President Trump, it's an action for the Senate. Card van Wyk. Editing options. Current, yeah. I mean, I'm not an expert on where to get books published. I mean, my book published by the War College was one that I was invited to be an author on, and they took care of all that. Then the book that I did for Stellenbosch University, that project, I was on another project, but I didn't finish it because of the COVID. I couldn't get to libraries, so I had to bag off on that one. But the one I did with Stellenbosch, they contacted me, and I sent my draft in. They sent it around for peer review, and then they published everything. So I'm not an expert, but I can try to help you. It's incredible how long people want to put up with something until they crack and march in the streets. Exactly. Yes, Jackie Kane, I think they need to progress from nappies to big boy pants. Yes, John McCain is part of the reason why, and John McCain is also the same reason why we had the Russia collusion narrative. John McCain is the one who gave the fake Christopher Steele cooked up treasonous propaganda to the FBI, and then they used it as the pretext, the premise for getting warrants. They committed a fraud on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court, the FISA court, and got a warrant on Carter Page. Opened the door to investigate the Trump campaign illegally. Obama investigated his political opponents. He also spied on illegally spied on U.S. journalists. Yeah, no, it's what Obama did and what Biden did are beyond the pale. They violated the Constitution on so many levels, which is so funny. We hear all the time how Trump is violating the Constitution. That's nonsense. Democrats are truly selfish bunch of politicians not paying people for working. Should be against any labor law. Individuals should take the Dems to court. Well, yeah. Well, they really can't take the party to court because it's individual politicians. No, they won't close the airports. I'll tell you exactly what to do, Yuri Smith. They'll put the military at the airports just like we did under Reagan. Remember, the air traffic controllers went on strike under Reagan, and you're not allowed to strike. They went on strike. So Reagan fired every air traffic controller in the country was fired. Yep, air traffic controller. Let's check in on that. Let's go back in our Wayback Machine for history. Right, Ronald Reagan and the air traffic controllers. Yep. Thursday, this is in 2020. Thursday marks the 40 years since former President Ronald Reagan fired more than 11,000 striking air traffic controllers. Yep. It was a serious blow to the American labor movement. In 1981, Reagan faced a test. This morning at 7 a.m., this is Reagan. A union representing those who man America's air traffic control facilities called a strike. Oh, that's a transcript of what they had in the air. So, come on. I'm looking for a story on this. 11,345 of them. On August 5th, 1981, President Ronald Reagan began firing 11,359 air traffic controllers, striking in violation of his order for them to return to work. The executive action, regarded as extreme by many, significantly slowed air travel for months. 2 days later, on August 3rd, almost 13,000 air traffic controllers went on strike after negotiations with the federal government to raise their pay. 2 days earlier, yeah. Controllers complained of difficult working conditions, the lack of recognition across the country. Some 7,000 flights were canceled. On August 5th, an angry President Reagan carried out his threat, and the federal government began firing 11,359. Yep. And then they brought on the military. Yep. Brought on the military. So that's what we'll do again. It slowed traffic for some time, but it didn't come to a grinding halt thanks to the Federal Aviation Administration's workaround. Supervisors, non-striking controllers, and military controllers were able to fill in for the picketers in short order, handling 80% of what had been prior workload. So see, that other leftist website said that it stopped traffic for months. That wasn't the case. 80% of the flights were able to continue because the military came in. Yep. So there you go. That's right. So that's what we'll do. Yep. Yeah, Courtney, you're right about that. Schumer once said that for every blue-collar working man they lose in central Pennsylvania, they'll gain 2 moderate Republicans in the suburbs. The problem is that there aren't that many moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and he's just not that bright. Yeah, it's all about keeping illegals in the country and demanding that the taxpayers fill. Yeah, exactly. It's lawlessness. Are the Dems paid by the government? Maybe they have too much money. Yes, Holden, there are more than there were in the 1980s. What's your point? What's your point? Unless you have more airports and more air traffic control zones, that isn't an issue. It isn't an issue. Yeah. No, they weren't reemployed. No, they didn't hire them back. They trained new ones. Yep. It's these people. Look, what's going on right now? I mean, initially I was angry about it because there's been a lot of air traffic controllers not showing up to work, and I was angry about it. But then I thought about it, and I thought maybe some of these people were actually going out working second jobs, working at Red Lobster or working at the mall to make money to pay their mortgage and such because they're not getting paid. But they're not allowed to strike, and they're not showing up for work. So technically, they should all be fired. Everyone that doesn't show up for work should be fired. So what's your point, Holden? Why are you saying you're trying to like make one argument? There's more planes. Like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a catastrophe. Then you say, well, but the computers handle it all. Yeah, and that's also what's forgot. Our air traffic control zones are very different than they were back then, the way we handle flights. It's done very differently now than it was in the 1980s. It was much more manual and, radar and visual based, and now it's very different. Remember when we had a flight halt and everybody had to get on the ground and there was nobody in the air after 9/11. Remember that? What did Elon have a discussion about? By the way, what happened with the Heritage Foundation? I think I find that here somewhere. I thought I had that. There it is. Heritage Foundation roiled by blowback over defense of Tucker Carlson interview. So they defended Tucker Carlson and his slam and his garbage apparently said about Christians. I didn't catch it, and I'm not a Tucker Carlson fanboy, that's for sure, or Nick Fuentes. Heritage Foundation sought to contain the damage after its president precipitated a crisis on the right by defending Tucker Carlson's friendly interview with young far-right influencer known for his inflammatory take on Israel, race, and women. The Conservative Foundation reports that the Heritage Board of Trustees called an emergency meeting after President Kevin Roberts triggered a backlash on Thursday, a video denouncing what he called the venomous coalition attacking Mr. Carlson. Really, Kevin Roberts, venomous coalition. Online rumors about a recent meeting of the Heritage Board of Trustees are completely baseless. There's been no board meeting. Conservatives erupted after Mr. Roberts put the foundation's prestige behind a 27 October interview, accusing him of stoking a schism on the right by inviting anti-Semitic fringe theories into the conservative fold. Mark Goldfeder, CEO of the National Jewish Advocacy Center, resigned Sunday from the National Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism, which is housed at the Heritage, saying Mr. Roberts' decision to defend Mr. Carlson over his interviews makes continued participation impossible. Well done on you, Mr. Goldfelder. The fallout included calls on social media for Mr. Roberts to resign. Yep. Including from Middle East Forum founder Daniel Pipes, a former Heritage staffer. Princeton University professor Robert Grange, a member of Heritage Board of Trustees, challenged the idea that conservatives should seek to expand their ranks by having no enemies on the right, even if it includes people like Mr. Fuentes. The white supremacists, the anti-Semites, the eugenicists, the bigots must not be welcomed into our movement or treated as normal or acceptable, he wrote. I agree. Is this a call for cancellation? No, it's a reminder that we conservatives stand for something, or should stand for something. We have core principles that are not negotiable. Agreed. In last week's interview, Fuentes said he has mounted what he called an attack from the outside of the conservative establishment, including the Republican Party. He took a jab at organized Jewry, and called himself a fan of Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin. Mr. Carlson sparred with Fuentes on a few of his comments about Jewish loyalty to women, but didn't probe the Stalin remark. Carlson then also himself said there's nobody he dislikes more than Christian zealots, a group he said includes Ted Cruz, Ambassador Mike Huckabee, and GOP strategist Karl Rove. Wow. So Tucker Carlson doesn't like Mike Huckabee. Well, you can go screw yourself, Tucker Carlson. You really said that? What a disgraceful person. Mike Huckabee is one of the best human beings on this planet. What an ass. Multiple Heritage staffers took issue with Mr. Roberts' statements, including Preston Basher, a tax policy research fellow who posted a Nazis are bad meme on X. There are some who just don't know what Fuentes is all about, including people who watch Tucker's 2-hour patty cake session with him. This is a small sampling of the cesspool, Mr. Basher said. The problem isn't so much that Tucker did the interview, but how he did it. Wow. Kevin Roberts denounced those who criticize Tucker as venomous and sowing division. Dana Loesch asked him if saying you hate Christian zealots isn't a venomous and sowing.
That description can go both ways. What we're trying to do is eliminate that kind of venom both directions.
Is it venomous to say that you hate Christian Zionists?
Oh, of course it is. I mean, I've been really clear not just yesterday and today, but my entire career. And the Heritage certainly has in its entire existence.
Not according to your
post. Those
post.
kinds of things are just abhorrent. I said that
Right.
literally yesterday.
Because Tucker said those things. So that would be, I mean, is that not sowing division?
It's certainly not helpful, but it doesn't mean that he ought to be canceled, because if in fact
Well, that's
you
not
want
the
to
question.
persuade
It's not whether
someone-
he should be canceled.
It's right. It's not the question whether it should be canceled, but people should be held to account for what they say, is what they're saying.
Is that sowing division to say things like that?
Oh, it's certainly in a lot of our friends' minds. But the point.
But you didn't put that in your statement, though.
Because the proximity or the context for the statement was something very different, and that was as we.
Oh, he's waffling now. And she didn't throw any softballs at him. Yeah. And she asked him if he thought that cancellation is the same as criticism. Right. Tucker's been criticized and Fuentes has been criticized. Yep. Wow. And she says exactly what I just said. Miss Lush, Dana Lush was saying, what you call cancellation, I saw as people trying to have some accountability. I agree. Wow. I don't know why people pay attention to Tucker Carlson, Dogzilla. I don't know. I can say that Tucker Carlson, and I said it before, was the only journalist in the world that was being honest with people in January of 2020. The first week of January 2020, when the demon rats were trying to, after the first week, trying to impeach Trump for something he didn't do, Tucker Carlson had started already the first week of January telling people about this mysterious virus taking place in a town called Wuhan in China that was dangerous. And if something wasn't done, it could affect the world. That's what Tucker Carlson said when no one else was talking about it. Now, that thing had broken out in November in Wuhan, maybe October, and nobody was covering it. But Tucker told people, he told them already, but the world didn't listen. Girlfriend is a woman of color and a migrant from Bolivia. Racism should have no place in conservatism. No, it has no place in conservatism. It's not. It's a leftist tendency. Racism and bigotry they're not conservative values. They're leftist values. Division, isms, that's the left. They put people in little boxes: gay, straight, bi, lesbian, black, white, brown. They do that. We don't do that. Yeah, well, I mean, Tucker Carlson, he's had some very interesting things, but also, and he's had some very good research, but also sometimes he talks about stuff he knows nothing about, and it's not good. Used to enjoy him, but I think he's gone. Ever since he interviewed Vladimir Putin and let Vladimir give us a 2-hour session on Russian history, which we didn't need a lesson on, and it wasn't even an accurate one. Yeah, and ever since then. Yeah, that's when a lot of people just quit listening to him. Worst victims are truly poor and destitute. It's easy to fire up desperate people. Anyway, so what I haven't done is I want to get to this story, and where's it at here? Come on, where's it at? I was going to talk about this story about the where the hell's it at? Oh, there it is. Not in my name. Okay, yeah. So, so this is the one I want to talk about, guys. We still got an audience here? Okay, just checking, because I'm busy talking about other stuff here because we started on time. So let's get to this now. This is what I want to talk about. Okay, so Ronaldo Conley sent me this. This is published in Rapport. Now, I'm going to read a bunch of this. I made a video on this earlier, but senior government official helps behind the scenes with a not in our name statement. So here's the situation. Prominent Afrikaners have come out, and a lot of Farayas have come out and made this statement that that people aren't speaking for them. And they try to, they're just slimy, smarmy people who falsely accuse Donald Trump of things that Trump hasn't done. Why is this not moving? There we go. And so, and this is the quote that just shows it all. This is from Pete Krukamp, who's a goober that works at the Northwest University. He said that actually have only one thing in common, and that's that they think that the Trump administration's whites-only import list that they're using to somehow involve Afrikanerness in their internal race politics is something Afrikaners shouldn't have to endure. That's Pete Krukamp. Well, the internal race politics is your internal race politics in South Africa. Donald Trump has not invited white people. He's invited South African racial minorities. And that's the bottom line. And so the fact that they refuse to recognize or acknowledge that shows you that they're just dishonest. Well, whoop-de-doo. He had a good interview. So what? That was 7 years ago. A senior civil servant played a key role behind the scenes in coordinating the much-discussed statement in which a group of Afrikaners says not in our name. Well, Rapport has caught them. Karen Berger, who was working at the American Embassy, and her name is still listed on the American Embassy, or it's the South African Embassy in America, is still listed as a political officer there, which, you know what a political officer is, right? You guys know what a political officer is? It's a spy. It's a spy. That's what a political officer is, yep. Did you know that? It's a gentleman spy. It's a gentleman spy. Do you guys know that? Oh, they've taken it down. Wow. Oh, that's why. No, I got the wrong. It's probably still there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. South African Embassy in Washington, D.C. Oh, why is it not loading now? The page isn't loading. The South African Embassy is down. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. The page was there earlier. They're not at work now. What's going on? Wow. That's interesting. Page is not loading now. Well, let me see if I can't get a cache. There's no cache page. You used to be able to pull the cache pages up. That's interesting. Anyway, she's not listed there now, but she's listed as a counselor political. A political counselor is a spy. An overt spy. That's what they do. That's what they do. Got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. Now I think they would come to light. Yeah, that's because they're not very bright. So the bottom line is that a DIRCO employee who was working at the South African Embassy in Washington until December is the one who organized this so-called independent private thing done by 44 prominent Afrikaners. And now the South African Embassy website isn't working. Isn't that funny? It was working earlier. It was working an hour and a half ago. I know, because I was on it. March 2025, what? Yeah, okay. And he interviewed him in 2016 too. What's the point? What's the point? Anyway, so yeah, that page is not. Oh, there it goes. It finally loaded. Got it. It must be slow. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look at this. Here you go. I'm going to show you DIRCO. This is the Embassy of the Republic of South Africa, Washington, D.C. The ambassador is vacant because he's been rasooled. Charge d'affaires. And then down here, the political section, Miss Karen Berger, counselor. Yes. Now, Berger didn't sign the memo, but her wife did. Her wife signed it. Yes, Miss Berger's wife signed this. And then she made a point of telling us she's proud to be gay. Like that has anything to do with the topic at hand. Why do people behave like this? Oh, I'm proud to be a heterosexual. I want the world to know. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care. What you do behind closed doors is what you do behind closed doors. You don't need to walk down the street with your schlong hanging out during a parade, wearing a thong exposing your butt cheeks. Anyway, yeah, that's dudes, not ladies. But anyway, so Karen Berger, counselor political, which is a spy. That's what they do, man. They're overt spies. Kara, have a good night. I'll try to look after myself. Boy, you're going to bed early. It's only 10 o'clock, but you probably got to work. Well, that's what embassies do, Krista. That's their purpose. Their purpose is to have ties with a country and also report about what's going on in that country to their home country so that we know what's going on, so that they know what's going on. That's why you have diplomatic missions, to tamp down tensions, to negotiate deals, to have consular sections to help your nationals and help people facilitate coming to your country for study, for work, for trade, for business, and so on. And then also to collect information overtly, openly. It's not a secret, okay? Anyway, so yeah, Karen Berger. So she drafted the memo. She sent it around. Now Pete Krugkamp is claiming that it's his effort, and he's insulted, and other people take credit for it. But the problem with this is that somebody gave the screenshots to Rapport. They have the receipts. This is fantastic. This is a huge story, folks. This is a massive story, and it shows you the depth that the ANC will go in collusion with Ferrayas to betray the Afrikaans people. Yep. Rapport has learned that Karen Berger, a director in the Department of International Relations, approached them, Afrikaners, to sign a statement. Now, she had been at the embassy in D.C. until the end of last year, but she's still listed on their webpage. In a WhatsApp message, a copy of which is in Rapport's possession, Berger states that she has written a draft article with the aim of having it published as a joint statement. So she wrote the article, and then they all put their name to it. She writes, and this is what's in the WhatsApps. My name is Karen Berger. I currently work in the office of Zane Dangor, the Director General of DIRCO. Previously, I was stationed at the South African Embassy in Washington until December 2024. I'm approaching you not as an official capacity, wink, wink, but rather personally. Following a recent article in the New York Times, I felt strongly that Afrikaner voices beyond those of solidarity and Afro-reform should have a place in the public debate about our country's future. And this is criminal activity in America. I could not do something like that in the Army. I could not go and do that. That's involving yourself in politics. She works for DERCO. She's actively involved in politics. She is undermining South Africa's foreign policy by doing this. No, not really, because it's in line with what the ANC wants. But this is not legitimate use of a person's time. This is a person who should be dismissed forthwith from DERCO. She should be dismissed as a diplomat from the South African government. She has no business in diplomacy. This is fraudulent. This is what your diplomats are doing. People that work in your foreign ministry are actively doing this against the interest of South African citizens. She has no business carrying a diplomatic passport. She has no business in diplomacy. This is not a role for her as a private citizen. If she wants to do that, she needs to leave government. Then she can say, I used to work in government. I used to be in DERCO. I no longer am a private citizen. This is my opinion. She cannot do that. And to claim that there's a glass door between the government, DERCO, and her is bullshit. It's total bullshit. Total bullshit. This is the government run by the ANC, which refused to give any other party any access to foreign policy, but then blames them for the foreign policy, says, well, they're part of our GNU. No, you run foreign policy, you run justice, you run the military, you run intelligence, you run everything. Finance that matters. And you are responsible, ANC. And this person, who's so proud of being gay, as if it has anything to do with the topic at hand, it doesn't, is the person who initiated this. According to the receipts and rapport, I haven't seen them. Rapport puts a reputation line, the Afrikaans Daily puts a reputation line by saying they have the receipts. I'll believe them because this is too good a story to make up. Unbelievable. No, exactly, Xavier. I smelled a rat when the ANC was on top of this within minutes. It wasn't hours. It was minutes after this damn thing came out in News 24. They already had a public statement by Chris Wyatt saying how brave and courageous these idiots were. The whole thing is a scam. It's a scam. Scam. No, they don't have to get paid. They're pariahs. Dirk, they don't get paid. They're pariahs. They'll betray their own people. These are the people. Okay, I've said this many, many times. And of course, that guy who calls me narcissist is probably going to get angry if he's here. But, you get 10 Afrikaners in a room and you get 12 leaders. You put 10 Afrikaners in a room, you get 20 plans of execution for what we're going to do, and none get executed. So you just stand around and do nothing because nobody can agree. You put 10 Afrikaners in a room and 2 of them will betray you to the English. These are the 2. The 44 are the 2 that are in that group. These are the so-called Boer Afrikaner who betray their own folk. Yeah, and that's what they've done here. They're pariahs. That's what they are. I'm not even going to address that stupid stuff. I'm tired of giving him timeouts. One day he'll let go of his penis and the blood will go back to his brain. Anyway, she says, I'm approaching you not in official capacity, but rather personally following a recent article. I've written a draft response to the article and sent it to a few people for feedback. It has been suggested that the response not be submitted under one name, but that we rather try to assemble a group of prominent Afrikaners who can support and co-sign it. Now, after that statement, Vincent Mangwenya, the spokesman in the presidency, publicized it and praised the group of Afrikaners for rejecting the narrative that Afrikaners are being persecuted and oppressed. Now, her employer is the Department of International Relations, and they welcome the statement. Now, she denied that she was closely involved in the process when contacted by Rapport. She said the statement was simply sent to her and her wife, the writer Mercia Skuman, and that they signed an online petition in support of it. Well, the online petition didn't exist until after Ronaldo Host created his own petition against it. Then this, so there's already a lie right there. After Rapport followed up with her and brought the WhatsApp message to her attention, she admitted that she had helped rally support for the statement. However, she says that she was just one of many who did so, and that the idea actually originated with Professor Pete Krukamp of Northwest. It doesn't matter if Pete Krukamp came with the idea. Who cares? She wrote the letter as a government employee undermining foreign policy and lying about things, and lying about President Trump, insulting America yet again. She did it as a DERCO employee, and she should be terminated. So they fired Roman Kabanak when he never committed any offense. Roman Kabanak never did anything. He was a PA in the Department of Agriculture. He did nothing wrong except work for that pussy, John Steenhuisen. That's all he did. He worked for that clown. The guy who didn't have a pair of testicles to stand up against the crowd. He hired him knowing full well his history. And then he tried to fire him and he broke the contract. So they got rid of him for doing nothing wrong. This is a clear violation. It's an ethical violation. It's likely a legal violation of the law, what she has done here. And then she's a liar. According to Rapport, she's a liar. Rapport says they contact. I had nothing to do with it. No, I just signed a petition. She lied. They have the screenshots where she sent the message out. Rapport has the receipts. She lied. She lied. So she's a liar, a Lügner und Betrügner, according to Rapport, and a Verräter, and committing crimes working for the government of South Africa. This is a big deal. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an ethics violation. At a minimum, it's an ethics violation. You cannot work for the government and write stuff like this. You can't do that. You cannot do that. No, you cannot do that. Wow. Okay. So, she said, I helped spread it. I spread it because I feel strongly about it. Just as I was very actively involved in getting the equality clause in the Constitution as a gay person who suffered under apartheid. What? What does the equality clause have to do with this? You didn't put the equality clause in your message. You said you worked at the embassy in Washington, D.C. And that what people are saying is wrong. You didn't say anything about the equality clause. You notice, pivot. We're talking about your lies, your Lügner, Betrügner, Verräter. That's what we're talking about here. Well, no, not going to answer the question about being a Lügner, Betrügner, and Verräter. No, pivot over here. Well, because I support the equality clause, because I'm a lesbian. Who cares, sweetheart? We don't care about your sexuality. That's your private business. And it has no bearing on what's going on here. It didn't influence this one way. Did you say in your message, I'm doing this because I'm a proud gay person who fought against discrimination during apartheid, and that's why I think we need to do this? You didn't say that. That's not what your message says, according to Rapport. According to Rapport, you said, hey, I worked at the American Embassy, and people shouldn't be saying this. Wow. Yes, the equality clause is used, and despite 144 race-based laws. Isn't it ironic that Karen Burger, in her defense to Rapport, says that she stands for equality when she doesn't, when she drafts a memo that lies about what's going on in South Africa? Folks, don't let this one die. They let the assassination of Babita Deokaran go past. They let the murder of that young man who was killed by the gangsters go past. They let so much go by. So much go by. We just talked earlier about 2.5 years since the two auditors were shot in broad daylight. And it's him and his son. They just let this stuff. Brendan Horner, still haven't solved that murder. Edward Neumeister, haven't solved that murder. Murder got away with it. These murderers walk around the streets of South Africa to commit more murders. Let's not let this one get away from us. Well, good. I'm not going to let it go either. We're going to keep talking about this issue and talking about it. Even though this channel is shadow banned, we're going to talk about it. Yep. So let me continue. So she didn't explain why she indicated in her WhatsApp message that she had drafted the response. No, she refused to explain it. Now, sources told Rapport that it was explicitly stated Karen is handling it when they inquired about the statement. So people said, well, what about the statement you want me to sign? Karen is handling it. Berger herself did not sign the statement, but her wife did. She says she acted in her private capacity and not behalf. It doesn't matter, sweetheart. You can't do that. Durko is not involved in such things, and you shouldn't be either. It's an ethics violation at a minimum. Berger says she's been in the public service for 40 years and did not share the statement with anyone in the government. Doesn't matter. Do you see what scumbags these people are? It doesn't matter whether you share with anybody in the government. It doesn't matter. But we don't believe you for a second. We've already caught you lying at least 3 times in Rapport. 3 times you lied to Rapport. They've got you by the short hairs. Karen Berger, 3 times you lied that we know of in this report to Rapport. 3 times. Why would we believe you when you say you didn't share with people in the government? Also, when Crispin Peary comes out, or Mangueño, whoever it was, comes out just hours later and says, oh, they're very brave. It was Mangueño. This is very brave people. How do they know about that just minutes later? Give me a break. Lügner und Betrügner. Verräter. So, I've never belonged to any political party. I try to be a professional civil servant throughout my career. What I do for my country and for all the people of this country. She put all in all caps. I read it in my private capacity and looked at it after hours. No. You don't get it because you don't want to get it. The leftists pull this crap. Can you imagine a Republican doing something like this in America? Oh, it'd be all over the place. They'd be out. No. You committed ethics violations at a minimum, probably broke the law. And you sit there and you lied. Lugna. You lied. You got caught lying. Got you by the short hairs there, sweetie. Got you by the short hairs. Unbelievable, these people. They are right. Now, to go on beyond this, it doesn't matter whether you belong to a political party. It's your right to belong to a political party. It has no influence. You cannot do this as a member of the government. Certainly not in the foreign policy. That's insane. If you worked in the tax bureau, it'd be one thing. It'd be an ethics violation, but at least it had nothing to do with your job. But this is directly related to your job. You are using the position you have paid for by the taxpayer to advance your political narrative. And if you don't see that, sweetheart, then you're dumb as a box of rocks and you have no business in government to begin with. Dumb as a box of rocks. This is the crap people get away with. This is what they get away with in South Africa. Now, after all this, they spoke to Pete Krukamp at Northwest University. A furious Pete Krukamp accused Rapport of trying to favor solidarity and African reform by creating a narrative that the project was initiated by the ANC. What? Rapport didn't say anything about the ANC. Is Borger in the ANC? She said she's not. So how is Rapport pushing a narrative that the ANC created this? They're not. They're simply exposing the frauds and the ferrayas. Pete Krukamp. Pete Krukamp said, it was my initiative. And I've said so from the beginning. I'm not immediately involved in the larger group now. There are a bunch of people working on the thing, but it was my initiative. Well, goody for you, Pete. Goody for you. You're the person who felt it was important first to betray Afrikaners. Well done. Well done, Petey boy. Well done. Well done. Oh, not only do we not hide them, we show their pictures. Yeah. Let's get you some pictures here. Oh yeah, let's get some pictures here. Let's get a picture of Petey boy. Where's Petey at? Here he is. Come on, Petey. We'll show you on the screen here. Come on. Okay, why didn't that open? That should have opened. Something's not right. There we go. I didn't click on enough times. Okay. Here's Petey Krukamp. There you go, guys. You should see what he looks like. There he is. Pete Krukamp. Is he in a gang? Is he with the Bloods or Crips? What's with the towel on his head? What's that all about? There's Pete Krukamp. But he was incensed. And Pete, you can have credit for it. It could be all your idea, but you didn't do the work. Karen Berger did the work, and she lied that she didn't do it. She said, I didn't do it. But then they showed the message she sent. Why would you go in a WhatsApp group and claim credit for writing it if you didn't do it? These people, they're not very bright. These things hang around forever. I love it when it's becoming increasingly difficult to hide these things that happen in the shadows. Yeah, and that's exactly what's been going on. Yep, so let me finish up this story here. Okay, so referring to Berger's involvement, Pete Krukamp said, I contacted a bunch of people, and I contacted people in America to see if we could get coverage there. She, Karen Berger, didn't know anyone in the media. Oh, I call bullshit. Excuse me. She didn't know anyone in the media. I've worked in the embassies station. I've been over 30, working over close to 40 embassies. I've lived and worked in Tunisia, Liberia, Botswana, Malawi, Niger, Mauritania, Uganda, and Ethiopia. And every single embassy, I was in contact with the media. Every single embassy. The American media person in the embassy, and then local and international media. In fact, when I was in Liberia, there were 3 people at the embassy of 78 American employee direct hires who were authorized to speak to international media. Those 3 people were Meg Riggs, the public diplomacy officer, Don Booth, the ambassador, and Colonel Chris Wyatt. That's it. So I don't want to hear this. And every political counselor I've ever known has had contact with the media at every embassy I've ever worked at. For him to say she doesn't know people in the media is horseshit. It's horseshit. Yeah, that's horseshit, Pete. That's horseshit. You're lying again, or you're dumb. One of the two. There's no way a political counselor doesn't know who the media people are. And she was in Washington, D.C. That means she knows the people from the Washington Compost, for sure. For sure. Probably even the media outlets that broadcast like CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC probably knows them too. But I guarantee it, there's no way that she works in the South African embassy in the DC and doesn't know someone in the media. That is a total fabrication. What a crock. They think people are stupid. Most people don't have experience working in embassies, but guess what? I do. Most people have never done these things. I have. I know what I'm talking about. So I'm here to share with you and tell you it's implausible. It's implausible that she could possibly have done that. So Pete Krugkamp, nice try. You were trying to tell that to some Afrikaners that have never left the country. I'm here to tell those Afrikaners that left the country that you're telling a fairy tale. Wow. Wow. So after Rapport obtained a copy of Karen Berger's message, because they contacted Pete beforehand and he told all these stories, then they came across a message in which she took credit for writing it. Krugkamp was asked if he had any additional comment, and he responded as follows. I approached a lot of people. I spoke to Karen and Max Duprier, and then from there, the thing was put together. Everyone could recruit on their own. Barent Lagrange had his own network, just like Max Duprier and his own network. I have no idea how they asked whom, but I took the initiative and told them that that's what I want to do. On the contrary, I didn't even speak to Barent and them. I heard later that they were involved because she apparently contacted them. But he doesn't answer the question about her writing it and not him. Yesterday, Duprier said that he doesn't even know Borger from Adam and that she is in no way the initiator of the statement. So first he said he talked to people because she does nobody in the press. Then later he says, but I don't even know her. Lügner, liar, Verräter. Wow. Like how I mix that German and Afrikaans? Unbelievable, folks. Wow. Wow. Well, I think Max and Krugkamp should be locked in a room with Dan Corder and Peter Dutoy, and, and that crowd. Adrien Basson. Yeah. Wow. Whew. So then he said, it's quite an insult to people like me, Pete, Baron, Fanny Cloete, Annalisa Borges, and so on if someone claims that they were led by the nose. No, they're just fellow travelers who were told what to sign, and they signed it. Now, Chris Pimperi, spokesperson for the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, denied the government was in any way involved with the Afrikaner statement. He says he doesn't even know Borger, but even if she contributed to the initiative, it would be a conflict of interest. Okay, excuse me. So, the spokesperson for DIRCO doesn't know the political counselor at the most important embassy that South Africa has on the planet. That's possible, but I don't know. I mean, Little Miss Muffet, the red-haired tuffet, that goober who used to be the State Department spokesperson, then became White House spokesperson. One dyes her hair red. Now she's on MSNBC or something like that, or CNN, one of those channels. Remember her? She knew those people in embassies, and we have much bigger diplomatic presence in South Africa does around the world. So she knew the political officers were in London, in Berlin, in Paris. She knew in Tokyo. She knew those people. Do you know why? Because she contacted them. See, this is the problem. What the hell's going on there? That's weird. Because she contacted them. And if Chris Pimperi is not in contact with a public affairs officer or public diplomacy officer at the embassy in Washington, D.C., and hasn't cleared messages written by political counselors in Washington, D.C., then there's something wrong with South Africa's public diplomacy. Mm-hmm. These people find lies to justify themselves. Yep. Well, I said Adrien Basson, George Clausen, and Peter Dutoy. Yep. Evil 44. Yep. So, continue on with this. So this is what Chris Pimperi said. There's nothing wrong with being an active citizen as long as you contribute to society and don't do it to spread misinformation, which is exactly what they did. If someone signs a petition or statement saying that they love the Springboks, you're not going to question it just because they're a civil servant. Excuse me, Chris Pimperi? Are you serious? Are you serious? They spread misinformation. Number one, so did you. So did you. Let me find your statement, Chris Pimperi. I know I have that. Let me find that. That's the green one. Where's that green statement at? It's here somewhere. Let me find it here. There it is. Here it is. So Chris Pimperi, as a government spokesperson, you spread misinformation. You said that the refugee program for South Africa appears to rest on a premise that is factually inaccurate and a disregard for our constitutional processes. Both of those are lies. Then you go on to say the claim of white genocide in South Africa is widely discredited and unsupported by reliable evidence. Well, that's a lie. The refugee program has nothing to do with white genocide. That's a fabrication of your media and of your government. Trump didn't, I'm sorry, show me where it says white genocide in his executive order. Somebody, please. It's not in the executive order. Let's see what I've got here. Not here. Anyway, show me. It's not in there. I don't have it handy. I'm looking for it. There is nothing in the executive order that says anything about white genocide. That's a fabrication of government officials and the media in South Africa. So that is a fabrication on the part of Chris Wyatt. That's a lie. That's misinformation. Yes. And then the threat that they make, saying that it's a serious legal challenge if you mischaracterize for individuals. Undermine protection. No one's undermining protection. You're undermining it. South African government is actively undermining the international protocols on refugees. They are. By spreading misinformation about the U.S. government program. Number one, it's not for farmers. Number two, it's not for Afrikaners. Number three, it's not exclusively for whites. Coloreds and Indians have come over. It's for people suffering from unjust racial discrimination in South Africa. That's who it's for. That's who it's always been for. That's how the program is unfolded. Most of those people are white, but not even most of them are Afrikaners. So those are just lies. Lies, 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 lies. So that's misinformation. And they know it. And they continue to spread it. They continue to spread it. This is a journey. Grateful for you on this channel and the Colonel. Okay. Now, Colonel, there you may be right. I mean, President Ramaphosa didn't even know his general was pledging support. Yeah, exactly. Banana Republic. Yeah, and comparing it to Springboks is just a joke. And he's wrong. Chris Wyatt is wrong. She has no ethical right to say those things as an employee of the government. Again, if she worked in taxes and she's talking about this, it's wrong, but it's not grave. This is grave. She's talking about foreign policy. And she's spreading misinformation. Misinformation. Yep. Let me see if I can find that one real quick. It's not here. God bless it. Oh, my goodness. So, their statement. Where's it at here? I need to put these in a folder and just keep them handier. It's easier to do this, not in our name. I'll just go to News 24 and find it. It's going to be easier that way. Come on. Come on. Oh, now it's not even showing up. Not in our name. There it is, Afrikaners. So they're spreading misinformation here. So you reject the narrative that casts Afrikaners as victims of racial persecution in post-apartheid South Africa. This is being used to support the far-right Great Replacement theory. That's utter nonsense. There's the Great Replacement theory. A few thousand Afrikaners is not going to change the racial dynamics of this country. We have a country threatening 30 million people. That's just ridiculous. We're not pawns in America's culture wars. No, you're pawns in South Africa's racial wars. Projects like Make Afrikaners Great Again do not represent us. Well, who's talking about that? The idea that white South Africans deserve special asylum status because of their race undermines the very principle of refugee protection. Well, first off, it's not asylum, it's refugee status. And they're not getting it because of their race, they're getting it because of racial persecution, and they're not the only ones. So you're not speaking about the coloreds or Indians who've come over because of racial persecution. Well, why aren't you speaking about them? Because you're Afrikaners? We believe in truth, justice, and the importance of resisting the misuse of history. Well, you were misusing contemporary history. So you don't believe in the protection of it. You're actually misusing it. Yep. Misusing it. And in the very first paragraph, in the second sentence, they lie. The Trump administration's plan to prioritize white South Africans for refugee status while drastically cutting over refugee missions have brought our identity in the spotlight. Okay, well, your identity is not white South African. You're signing as an Afrikaner. So get it straight. Also, the priority is for racial minorities in South Africa, not simply for whites. So, oh, they look very foolish, Jeremy, because they've been led by the nose because they're suckers. They're suckers. Your plebeian government was told to steer away from political commentary by my union. So even if I speak on social media, it's risky. Exactly. And she drafted this letter and got 44 suckers to sign it, including her wife, to try to speak on behalf of 2.8 million people, and then claims that it's her right to do this, and she's not in a political party. It doesn't matter. It's wrong. It's morally bankrupt. It's an ethical violation and likely a legal violation. And where are the opposition parties not screaming about this? And quite frankly, AfriForum likes to take people to court. Why don't they take her to court? Why don't they take all these 44 to court? Their new little petition is not gaining traction. Well, I haven't seen their petition, and the other one's not getting traction either. It only has 6,700. So the one Ronaldo did is also not getting traction. That's very disappointing where it's at right now. About 6,700. Not very, that should be 50, 100,000. 6,777 when I last looked at it. Now it's 84. So it's gained a handful more. So I haven't seen the other one. Yeah, no. Well, they're trying to draw attention away from Fiasco. Yeah, but it doesn't change things. And their collusion to get YouTube to censor and hide my channel isn't going to work either, because I'm not the only person speaking out about this. But I'm the only person speaking out about it that has served in an embassy, that has worked with a foreign ministry, that has served in multiple countries abroad, that has worked with the press, that has been a journalist, that has all these boxes ticked. See, that's the problem. I had to live the ethical standards. I had to keep my mouth shut when I worked in government. I worked in embassies. I worked with foreign embassies. I worked with foreign ministries. I have worked as a journalist. I've done all these things. All of them. None of these people have done all those things. So they all tried to nitpick their way through it and lie about things. You work for the government. You can't say these things. You simply cannot say them. It's wrong. And then when you lie about it, well, you've been exposed as a liar. Wow. Make wrongs and issues so the serious issues are kept under the carpet. Kind of, we're not very good at signing petitions. That people are afraid to sign petitions. Now, I know that primal bore, but if Ronaldo's petition gets outdone by them, then they'll turn it and say, look at this. Even if they got fake signatures, look at all the people who got to sign it. That's why I haven't signed the petition, because I'm not a South African. I don't think it's appropriate for me to sign it. Well, I got you. You worry about your job. I understand that. 100%. I got it. And to people worry about, blowback and retribution in South Africa. Yep. So, yeah, if 750,000 people sign that letter, then they have something to say. They do look foolish. Anyway, look very foolish. Anyway, guys, it's late. So going forward, remember, Tuesday, not going to have anything. We'll probably have a night owls, but not a news during the day, because I have to do the elections on Tuesday. But tomorrow I should have, I won't do night owls tomorrow. If I do it, it'll be earlier. I'll probably do it earlier and just do it for an hour and then go to bed, because I have to get up very early. But yeah, so remember that it'll still be on the same time for South Africans at 5 a.m. But for Europeans and Brits, it'll be a little bit earlier, because times have changed. Does that sound right? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so it's all based in South African time. So for me, 5 a.m. is not 11 p.m. now. It is 10 p.m. So tonight I got a late start because I was working on that video and had other things to do. But that's it. It's going to wrap it up here, folks. Be sure to hit the like button. And be careful of Lügners und Betrügner. And watch out for Verraaiers. Yep. Nobody complimented me on saying Verraaier. Did I say it wrong? Thought maybe people go, way to call him out, Chris. Way to call him. But nobody said anything like that. Also, I'm wondering if I'm using the word wrong. If I used the word wrong, I thought I knew what the word meant. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm just whistling past the cemetery. All right, guys. Cheers.